it's been feeling real good to watch you live, explore, learn. I wanted to use some of your words to kind of create the vibes for the space.
Okay.
If that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Softness is the key. I was like, does that even make sense? Starfish it out. Okay, wait. Literally, wait for the train. Okay, work through this with me, okay? So I was thinking about my life, right? The journey of it all. Very much in a transitional space and so many different. I'm just realizing like every single area of my life is in like a huge transition, like milestone type. Wow. Oh, I deserve so much more grace than I'm giving myself. All right then. Coming right back. Hi, hey, thanks for being here. What I was thinking about, though, was how the softer I get, or the stronger my ability to lean on my softness gets, the less pressure or less heavy navigating difficult things are. Like when I see difficult things now, it's like that initial, and then immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, though, on the other side of like the work necessary to navigate all the ins and outs and undo and redo things, on the other side is going to be exactly what I asked for. And then I was like, oh, softness is the key. Life gets less heavy and less hard when you can be soft, when your home is soft. And I was like, does that even make sense? And then my head growing up in the Midwest winters was like, it does make sense. Because let's say you're on a frozen lake in the winter, right? And it cracks, like you're about to fall in. The first thing you're supposed to do is distribute your weight. So you lay down and you kind of starfish it out, because you have to get soft so the ice doesn't break and you fall through.
When you first came on 4 years ago, one of the things you said was to talk about Hannah, was to talk about the little girl. And as I've been moving through life, I've been developing a relationship with like the little boy and me. And it's something that, obviously that's really big now, and people going back and connecting with that. Happy Mother's Day.
Hey, thank you. We out here.
Thinking back about the little girl, and to know Hannah is to know the little girl. This is Mother's Day, and you're in a transitional period of your life and everything. Like how has the relationship to the little girl shifted? Has it shifted? Are you having different conversations? Just talk to me a bit about that.
For me, I realized my little girl was really young. Her needs were really easy to meet, and I thought that was the end of the work. It wasn't until I met my teenage self, where she was, that I feel like I really got to know myself, because I think it's also in those teenage years where the pressures of the world start telling us who we should be. Our friend groups start changing, so we kind of lose identity a little bit, and we get really afraid of how we're gonna present to the world, because that's supposed to be everything, right? And you're supposed to know who you are at 18. And for me, and I think this is probably fair for all of us, at that age, our lives look like what our parents envisioned for us. Or sometimes our lives at that age look like the dreams that our parents left behind. Whatever it is, that's not really our life yet. So we start to swallow parts of ourselves. And the older I get, the more I did things that I wanted to do, the more that things that showed where I took risks. I kept thinking about that like 16, 17-year-old girl and being like, what would she say if I told her we're here right now? And everything changed for me at that moment, because I realized the ability to nurture, the ability to be free, the ability to hold myself with grace was something she didn't yet have. And I needed her to know that, because like I'm still building on things that she had in her heart. So yeah, it's completely changed.
So is the gaze shifting from the little girl to the teenage girl?
And even previous versions of my adult self, like I think when we think about inner child, the concept of it is really about reparenting. And it's reparenting with what you know now. Because I think parents and us, at every version, we do the best that we can. What about when you know better? Why not go back and be like, hey, you know what? Here's where I see you there. Hold on to that. The rest of this didn't really matter. Or just being like, okay, you messed up, but we're here now. So you really don't have to carry that no more. Like, it's okay.
Is your gaze shifting, or your perception of like how your mom parented shifting as well as your gaze is shifting?
Actually, I think it's what I'm learning about parenting. I'm taking the type of mother I am, and I'm using that to parent the previous versions of myself. I think a part of that is learning, a part of that is letting go of my expectations of life, and a part of that is being the transitional space I was talking about before. Was I really feel like almost everything in my life was taken. One step at a time, in a consecutive 2 or 3 years, it was just consecutively like, that doesn't happen to people. That doesn't happen to people. That doesn't happen to people together. That I was finally left with myself. And it was at that moment that I realized whatever I put my energy into, the choices I make, the thoughts I have, the way I speak to myself, how I present myself, all of that is just me. And at that moment, you realize there's no one else to blame. Yes, all those things happen, but what happens from here on out, it's very clear, since I'm the only one here, it's all gonna be because of my doing. And I started looking at what I was doing a lot differently, like, but do you want the result of that action or that thought? Or why are you talking to yourself that? If nobody else is here to beat you down, why are you continuing that narrative?
Yeah.
And that's when I had to be like, okay, but where is this sourced from? So I had to go back to different versions of myself to be like, well, that was wrong though.
So as you're following through that, so as I'm thinking, my relationship with my mom has ran the spectrum in a lot of ways.
I think it should, right?
It should. But I think the part that is shifting as I'm getting older is, as I'm starting to look at the parts of myself that I judged, as I start to look at those parts differently, I'm also starting to look at the story that I was telling myself about my mom at that time differently. Because you've got more information, you've got more clarity, you've got more acceptance. And I think as those things that you discover start to integrate more into the storytelling, for me at least, it shifts how I'm telling stories about certain characters.
I like the how word.
At the what?
The how word.
Oh, the how word.
The second I said it, I was like, be mindful of where you live. Everybody's gonna hear Howard.
Because I was like, Howard. Did they say that at Howard University?
No, but the how. I like that intention with it, because I think with anything, it's easy to put it on other people.
Yeah.
But we're all just people. And I like the videos that I see all the time of mainly like our ages that are taking their parents on new experience type trips. And the takeaway is like, oh, I just realized like my mom or my dad is living life for the first time too. And I think that's so important to remember. Like especially if you're the oldest or the first or the only, like I was my mom's first, and she dealt with a lot, honestly, throughout the course of my life. And I have to understand that she didn't know. And she didn't have all the tools that I even have.
Yeah.
So I just don't have it in me because I've had such an expansive life too. Like, I don't have it in me to judge anybody for where you are.
Do you find it hard to not judge sometimes?
I did until I didn't. And I think the only thing that I called hard was the constant need to check myself until it became a new way. Because like, even with biases, like I'm out here being an advocate. I work in an area of work that doesn't exist anymore, but it does and it doesn't. And so I had to kind of get over this shame and almost isolation of when you just have those knee-jerk reaction type thoughts. And I'm like, oh my God, Hannah, if you said that out loud, but meeting myself there and be like, okay. You see how impression or representation, all of those things actually form your thoughts, but is it yours? Do you want to keep it? Do you want to use it? What should you have thought? And so leading myself into I used the word I don't want to use, leading myself into just being curious about a person versus judging them.
Mm-hmm.
It feels hard until all of a sudden you're like, oh, I stopped even having to bring myself that way, right? So no, I wouldn't call it hard. To me, it's become fun.
These kind of relationships that get disturbed when we don't take the time to know what it is to sing, to know how to get close to the mic again, or to get some singing doesn't make it happen, or maybe.
Who you guys are listening to is a mother. She's a Black girl joy advocate.
I never said that. Well, yeah.
I just came that up. That just came out of my brain.
I love Joy. That's my girl.
Did you see that? A daughter. A social media positive vibe giver.
And I refuse to become what social media asks of us. I will not.
And I feel the resistance.
Good.
I feel the resistance, but it's a healthy resistance.
It is.
It feels like the way I want to resist, which is, I'm gonna go somewhere with that. Hannah McCall, thank you so much for coming back and joining me and the TuneTheFork family. It's been a pleasure. You were the first non-person I met online come on about 4 years ago to the day, actually. And I developed my kind of approach through observing how you share and show up on social media. And so much of what I wanted to do and how I wanted other people to feel was from observing in myself how I felt looking at what you were doing.
Thank you.
Because it feels everything you post just feels familiar. It feels true. It feels genuine. And it also feels like it's a relationship to yourself. And I love that part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's not, thank you isn't the right way to say it, but that's what we use. That actually means a lot. I think because anybody trying to be authentic, you don't try to be authentic. Anybody who is authentic and is attempting to maintain that in such a curated space, I appreciate you seeing that. And it really is that, because I think that's also what was missing. I worked in social media for 6 years. I was a freelancer. I did other people's accounts and content. And it's because of that that I ended up hating a lot of social media, because I was 5 different people on any given day and doing well. And it's like, but it's really weird to have people resonate with something you did and it's not you. Like, it's under somebody else's guise. So that's kind of my relationship to social media in its entirety, was like, but I don't want that, and I'm tired of that. If I even think you use ChatGPT in something that you're speaking, I'm out. Like, I get it, but I also am like, to your point, why not use social media to create spaces that are familiar, and not familiar in the sense of comfort, but familiar in the sense of like, I can be myself here. Because once you can be yourself, you can learn, you can accept others, you can do so many things in that space. And it is kind of a letter to myself, because it's also a back to that younger self of all the versions who wasn't safe or felt like she was safe to be curious. I'm like, I'm gonna be curious. And it's real uncomfortable sometimes. I delete, repost, archive all of the time.
Tell me, you do what? Oh, what is it called? Delete,
repost, and archive.
What is that?
When I get scared. Because I'll put something up and it'll be so genuinely, authentically me. And I'm like, the analytical brain and the business side of me is like, yeah, but numbers and da-da-da, and you didn't, and I'm like, delete it. And every time I delete it, I'm like, that was stupid. You proud of yourself? And it's like, no, I am not.
What would you share a lot of authentic stuff. What have you?
Exactly.
What have you deleted? You got to, exactly. Okay, so what have you deleted? What have you deleted recently?
Oh, what did I delete? So my current struggle is in taking the authenticity and meeting it with my vulnerability. I can be vulnerable with others. I can hold space for others' vulnerability, and I can approach and hold a conversation being vulnerable. Me? I'm more vulnerable than most, so I get away with looking vulnerable. I'm lying. I'm actually like me and me by myself. Like, I am so deep in so many thoughts and feelings, but because I don't hear it anywhere else, because when I bring it to some conversations, it's like, oh my God, Hannah's about to get real like deep in feelings again. I just stop. I'm like, oh, but I know that's the sauce. But I also had to give myself grace and like, but we're getting there. Like, you push yourself, it won't be authentic. You hold yourself back, it won't be authentic. It's the balance.
So, can we sit here for a minute? Okay. Because I know that feeling. And I feel like for me, it's a balance of, how do I take a step back? Sometimes I feel like I'm full of shit. Not because I'm trying to be, but because there's a feeling that I have or a thought that I have about something that resides so firmly in all the parts of who I am that I feel like I have to share it. And I might share it in a multitude of ways. And the more ways I share it, I feel like I'm trying to convince people of the thing through the multiple ways in which I'm trying to share it. But at the same time, I'm really trying to work through the thought at the same time. But because it's in my head, it lives differently out of my head than in my head. So I'm working through all of these things. I'm working through all of the ways to play out this thought. And I'm using people, it feels like sometimes, to work through it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do I feel like I have to do it that way? And it feels like I'm unnecessarily generating energy just to get through this thought. And then that makes me land on the I'm full of shit. Does that make sense?
That's what it is. I think it's the lift that causes the pullback, right? It's like how much effort it takes to go through that thought process. And it really is just, but why can't you have an imperfect thought?
Exactly.
Like, because your imperfect thought sparks something in me, and I'm gonna continue that. Like, that's collectively how we hold community and conversation. We've just been so led astray. We've been told your original thought, because that's what it is, an original thought doesn't hold the value. However, if you look at almost every complaint right now on the table for anybody, it's lacking original thought. So it's a conundrum that I want us with original thoughts to get over.
And when you, okay, yes. Do you find yourself extending grace to people in that way, or do you find yourself judging them in the same way you judge yourself for the thought?
Present day me,
Yeah.
grace.
Okay.
All I have is grace. That's all I'm meeting myself with. And I really mean that.
I feel that too. Like you're what I appreciate about what you post is that a lot of it is human, meaning that it's vulnerable, meaning that it's flawed, meaning that it's not all figured out. Mm-hmm. And there's something really refreshing to me because I feel like, oh, this is what the process looks like of doing the thing.
Yay. That's my whole goal.
Yeah. It feels like
show the process. We don't see the process enough. And I don't know what it looks like. And I feel like the day I went to Source and was like, it seems like every time I decide, you decide, I need something else. So let me just not decide anymore and just you tell me where to go. And I know we hear people say it all the time, and I know I'm also in the process, which I will forever be, but it works. The letting go and just, it works.
you mentioned being in a transitional period in pretty much all of the significant ways.
That was real time too. I was gonna edit that part out, but I was like, it's real authentic for me to be like, oh wait.
So I felt you connect to the feelings and let them drift you off.
It was real.
And then you were like, and we're back. And I was like, I relate to that so much.
Also, if you know me, I'm gonna deviate a conversation 10 times. Like, oh, what were you saying? My alarm is going off. I'm sorry. I can't turn it off. Can I get up?
Yeah.
Shout out to Miss Universe.
That was beautiful. It sounded good too. That's a great.
That's what I be waking up to.
That's a great. So transitional.
Yes.
What? Based on how much you want to share, what's shifting and how are you managing that?
I've been avoiding this in so many different places, but like it is what it is. I started with, I think it was actually maybe the summer I was here the first time. Oh, that's interesting too. Okay, I'm coming back. The relationship I was in that I assumed was actually gonna last dissolved. I don't want to say this only because of the comments on your last podcast when I was here. I'm no longer in a relationship with my parents. That is their decision, not mine. My best friend, the person I consider my left lung, fought and is fighting the most aggressive form of breast cancer that we know. Then my job, became this thing. Everything just slowly, the biggest pieces of my life slowly just left. And that's why I said it was just me. So in looking at this transition right now that I was talking about on that post, it was very much the duality of looking at all of this stuff, realizing I met it. I met every single one. My therapist says, you sit down in the middle of the fire and ask how we can cool things down. And I was like, Okay. She's like, but you do that with yourself. And I'm like, well, that's good because I've needed that. And it was at that moment that I realized I was looking for that in other people, all the other people.
The ability to
Cool down the fire.
cool down the fire.
And so I had to do it for myself, as we need to know how to do for ourselves. And I just started seeing life meet me in ways that I had written down in places that I'm not going to tell anybody about because they're from me in source, right? So it was really, when I was like, oh, you're transitioning right now because you did the work, you didn't put it on anybody else's shoulders, you're finding grace, you're learning love, and you're asking Source to meet you. And Source is saying, finally. So like that's the transition. It's in knowing that the duality is representative of how high you're gonna go. Like if I wanna go higher, I have to be prepared for these other lows. They're not necessarily related. They just, when you go, for me, when I go lower, I have to understand what's coming with me and what's not because I don't have enough luggage to take everything where I'm going. So that's the transition. But you know, just a couple of things.
You said a lot quickly.
Because it's the only way to say it. It's the only way to say it. If I'm gonna say it, I have to say it all in its entirety because it needs to it all lives together. It's all tied to, not a past version of myself, but it's all tied to past beliefs. It's all tied to things I had to unlearn in order to learn.
And don't you find that is like a constant thing, like the unlearning, like just even when you think you know, you recognize that there's something else comes along that reveals that there was more or a different, like it's the unknowing that seems to be growing more than the knowing.
And that can be really dope.
Yeah.
I'm no longer willing to subscribe to the idea that that's the uncomfortable thing. Because if I look at where I was in any other area of my life, I start with saying, thank you, Hannah. Thank you for everything you did because I get to be here now. I always start with that because I don't want to start with judging. Back to the grace. But then it's like, you don't think that when you know things, that's going to represent blessings are on their way to you. If anything, it's the opposite. Even when you meet people, if you meet someone that's a know-it-all, right? Dating myself, but I love that phrase, like talk to the hand too. Like if you meet someone that knows it all, you're just like, okay, then there's nowhere for us to go. Don't you think life is saying the same thing to you?
Yeah.
Like to be okay with just curating life with life, let that be exciting. There's nothing, whether you go that way or that way, there's still nothing in your way besides you. So like, it's still your choice. I'm just gonna choose to dance with life.
The parents thing seemed like, I know you said, well, these are things you've been living with a lot longer than I've been living with them because I just found out like 2 minutes ago. I'm imagining that being like a tough thing to come to terms with.
I think parenting is, I was raised with a generation of parents who were taught to believe accomplishments are what your life needs to be made of in order to be a good life, right? I think my peers that are parents, it's like, yes, that and be a good person. But what I was seeing a lot of times with parents is we would tell our kids these things without exemplifying them. And I think that divide has gotten really, really, really wide. It's another thing I refuse to subscribe to, though. It's like, no, I need you to be a good person in this world in particular because of how I see this world and see the opportunity we have to leave legacy and impact in this world. So I need to elevate myself So you see what it does look like. So you know what it feels like. That's the hard part, but I think that's also the necessary shift in, this is not my life. Yes, I chose to bring you into this life. You know, looking at the world today, I question that decision a lot, but but it's like, I chose to bring you in this life, but that also means I chose to let you live your life. So I don't know. Nobody has parenting figured out. Nobody has parenting figured out. I think, though, in my experience, the hardest things that I went up against is when my parents told me who to be, or when they told me to do something that I had never seen them do. So I tried to live by that standard. I coached by that standard. It seemed to work really well, too. So it's like, if I can't do it, I'm not going to ask you to do it. If I need you to do it, I'm going to let you watch me figure out how to do it.
Yeah. So that's big, though. That's a huge example to have from a kid. Matter of fact, I don't think they really understand. They won't. That's not something they get until
much later.
Yeah.
Maybe when he's 40, which means I gotta stay healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want that day. I'm still petty. I'm still human. I want that day.
Yeah.
I want to be at the table when everybody's like, "Oh, you remember when?" And I'm like, "Uh-huh." And I want everybody else to laugh while I'm like,
And I think probably selfishly sometimes that's why our parents want us to have kids, because they know, like, deep down, some of this shit you just can't get without being a parent.
You can't.
And you could be an uncle, you could be a godfather, but unless you're physically responsible for this person in all of these ways consistently over, decades or whatever, I don't know if you can get it.
Yeah, because I've had thoughts where I'm like, dang, 18 years of parenting, and now what? Like, who's here to say you did a good job or you didn't? Especially because that good job may not manifest ever, or it may not manifest till much later in life, or until a hardship. Like, you just don't even know how it's gonna land. And that is such a huge piece of the puzzle we're missing when we talk about having children, when we talk about parenting children. It's a very odd space to be in knowing there's a disconnect with your child, there's a disconnect with your mother, and sitting in the middle and being like, is it me? And then realizing it is you, but hold on, it's you because you're asking everybody to bring their full selves and their feelings to the table. Everybody has a right to come to that table or not. But does that make me a bad person at the table willing to talk about it? And it's a rhetorical question. It's one I've sat with myself and sat in therapy. I've sat in executive and transformational coaching. Like, I've gone everywhere. I go to the nursing home and talk to my honorary grandparents. I go to church and I talk to my Bible study folks. I go everywhere. I bring my full self everywhere because, again, I have to exemplify what that looks like. It's like, I know you're scared and I know it is scary. I'm actually terrified, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I don't like living under the surface. I don't like dealing with hard stuff when we live on the surface because everything hard is under here. How do we get there if we're all on the surface and we're scared? We don't.
So what do you do when those people don't want to go there?
Hold the line.
What does that mean?
In which situation? Because I think it differs. So basically, I just stay myself. I'm always going to meet you where you are. Wait, what did I say the other day? Unconditional love does not require me to enable your destruction. If I see the potential for either our relationship or your well-being to dwindle, to disintegrate, if there is harm being done, I'm not co-signing that. I'm right here where your self-love lives, and I'm waiting for you. When you come here, I'm ready. If you need help getting here, I'm ready. But I My son's biological father has struggled with bipolar disorder for my son's entire life. I learned with him. And we all know this, right? But it was with him that I learned at 19 years old, like, I can't save you if you're not ready to save yourself. So let me hold your place because you deserve to have a place.
Yeah.
And you do what you can, but this place is not, you don't get to destroy this place. And in doing that, we have navigated 18 years of his extreme hardship, but he knows anytime he's good, he can pick up that phone and we're right there.
Beautiful.
So that's how I do that. I'm not going to judge you for where you're at. I'm like, I don't live your life.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what's good or bad or hard. I can't. I can just be here if and when you need me.
And that can come off to other people as you being like indifferent
I get
or.
it all the time. It's like, you'll exit a situation when it's hard. No. I exit a situation when I'm the only one showing up for the hard. I don't change my number. I also don't block people. Actually, that's a lie. There's one person that's blocked, so we're going to leave that there.
So you don't speak with your parents anymore. Was that the hard line? That you were an example of the hard line?
Yeah, I really asked them to come to the table and just have a conversation. I was like, there's a lot of things that I haven't had the maturity or the emotional composure to hold what's mine while making space for what's yours. I just got that within the last probably 3-4 years. And it was because I had that. I was like, okay, also thinking about being a mother and thinking about the world I want to live in. That's also my baseline. My baseline is the world I want to live in. I said, can we sit down, everybody in the immediate family? I wanted my son involved. I wanted my ex-husband, his stepdad involved, because I just wanted everybody to sit at the table and hear what it was like to be in a relationship with all of them for me as the only Black woman in their lives, outside of my son. He has other Black women in his life. And that was 2 years ago. My sister tried to hold the line for a little bit in between us, and I said, don't stand on a burning bridge that isn't even your bridge. Like, you have no business standing on this bridge. And yeah, so I am holding the line because there are sprinkles of surface level access points, birthdays and holidays. We love to think that those matter. They don't. And so it's really hard. And perfect example, Christmas, my mom gave me a really, really, really thoughtful Christmas present. Like, reached into little Hannah's early life and made me realize it's not that she wasn't able to see me. It was just that it was hard. That's my takeaway. And it touched me so much. It healed a gaping wound that I didn't even know was there. And my sister watched me. I was like sitting on the floor and I got my phone and I set it down. I got my phone, I set it down. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I was gonna text Mom, thank you, that meant a lot, da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, are you going to? And I was like, no. I was telling my friend about it a couple of days later and she was like, but you could. I'm like, but you're not understanding what I'm asking. I didn't ask anybody to be anything other than exactly who they were and just come to the table so we could see each other. I asked us to go deeper. I asked my parents if we could have an adult relationship because I saw the needs of my life getting heavy. I needed companionship from wiser perspectives, right? The people that made me who I am. Like, y'all obviously had influence on me. Help me see what maybe I'm not seeing that you could see, knowing me and all of that. And they couldn't do that. And I know they can't, right? Like, it's not even that they're avoiding me. It's not that they don't like me. It's not that they don't love me. They just do not have the capabilities or the depth. I don't know what it is. And it's just because they haven't met themselves. at that level, I can respect that. I went and learned my mom's history to understand, like, you know, the traumas maybe she doesn't see. So like she doesn't know this, but I've received her and forgiven her, and I hold her in my heart. I hold the woman who found out she was pregnant with me and what that probably did for her world. I hold that in my heart because that's also in me. Like, that's a trauma I had to heal because it was shared. I still can't text you and tell you thank you for this physical gift, because what does that actually do for me?
And you get to decide that.
I have to decide. I have to choose. Yeah, I have to choose. I have to say, okay, I heard you, Hannah. I heard you can't do surface level. I heard gifts make you turn up your nose. Like, I had to say, I hear you and I understand. You have to ask for, and it's scary to ask for more because we don't always get it. Does that take away what I need?
Especially if you're asking for something from someone that can't give it.
Right. So the line there is, I have to hold this line and not let you, I can't let you into this part of my life because I will no longer be able to hold you with love and respect. Because I've been there, and I was starting to not respect you. I was starting to not hold you with love anymore because all I could do is survive. So I don't want to do that. I want to love my parents. I can do that where I am.
How's your friend doing?
She's kicking ass, man.
She's doing better?
She is. She's getting there.
Good, good. Send positive vibes.
Always. Yeah.
How's the partner front?
Man, I was so happy being single, and I know people get mad at me all the time.
You just got so, that's crazy. Like how you started.
I'm having the most fun with my life than I have ever had, because I was telling you earlier, like, I am a relationship with my community. Like, my neighborhood and me, we cool. We cool. And it has made me rethink what a relationship even is for me.
Okay.
And what I need. I got used to this idea that you should date who likes you. I don't think I ever asked myself if I like them back.
Really?
I'm not even kidding.
That's not true, Hannah.
I can, but hold on.
You know if you liked a brother.
Are we sure?
Really?
Are we sure?
Obviously, we ain't had no conversations about love life, but this is me just projecting, just knowing what I feel like I know about your intelligence.
Everybody. I like and love humans. I was also raised in an environment where I don't think I ever knew to be. I'm not attracted to white men, and that's all I knew. So hold that with what I just said.
Okay, I feel you.
Right? I have learned to like myself in dating, not white people. But I say that because, like, that's real. Like, that was really a thing inside of me, and I had to shift it. And it's not just me. I've had conversation with grown women. We all start like our 20s dating people that like us instead of looking for people we like to date. But if we think about it, it's also the guys do the courting. Why are we looking? You know, that whole concept. But truth be told, and every time I say this, someone thinks it's a challenge. So let me say this very nicely and kindly. This is not a challenge. It is what it is.
Uh-oh.
I have a hard time finding people that can meet me where I am. And that sounds really simple because I have a lot of different friend groups. Like, no, I meet you together in my home at once, in my safe space, when I'm just me. I'm a very varied person. Like, I've had a lot of life experiences, and I bring that all together in one, and I need somebody to not be like me, but to not consume me without replacing what has been consumed.
VARIED?
Yeah.
I'm a very varied person.
Yes.
Okay. So take but put back.
Right. And not because it's a tit for tat, but because I am a giver. And I do it enthusiastically, and I'm not looking behind me to see if it's being replaced because I know how to fill my own cup, right?
Okay.
But like if you're taking without ever putting anything, it's a hole in my cup. So whether I'm feeling it or not, like I'm tired.
Is what they're taking unreplenishable?
No, it's the drain. It's why is it taking me so much effort to keep filling this cup? Like why does this cup keep draining more than it needs to? And it's,
Okay.
and it's largely because I don't enter relationships with a need either. Like I see relationships as an addition to my life, and I've had to learn that often we use them societally as what's the word? Like as representations of us? I don't know what it is.
I think I understand what you're talking about,
Right?
even though I don't know the words you're talking about. I do
don't
feel
know the word, but it's like definitely not to add. Like the last person I dated, I just realized, like I add a lot to your life. And it was one of my friends, he was like, what did he add to yours? And I was like, I have a good time. He's like, do you have a good time by yourself? And I was like, well, obviously. And it's just that balance, right? And that may not matter to a lot of people in every area or phase in life, but where I'm at right now, anything I'm not putting into my dreams that are quite really turning out to be reality is going into something else. And I just don't have any interest in putting into something else when even basic conversations with people who are interested in me, I feel drained immediately.
you look so bored. Like your face. Like I'm imagining these dudes.
Basic stuff.
Like this could yeah.
Over.
So, okay. So let me ask you a question. I'm curious. I love
You're coming from my not fully formed thoughts here.
and I'm expressing mine. All the shit I'm curious about just literally popped up in the last 10, 15 minutes. What kind of men are you typically attracted to?
Anymore, I don't know. I'm just a different, like I look at the people I dated before, and even I was married twice, to my son's father and now to who he calls dad, his stepfather. And I have no idea who I'm attracted to. I really don't.
What have your patterns told you're attracted to?
People who need me.
Okay.
They're all kind of they're all over the spectrum, to be honest. So I don't know the answer to that question, which is also why I'm perfectly fine being my damn self, because I don't know yet.
What are guys like now? Like, what's the game? Are they pulling up and got good game? Do they smell good? Are they lame?
They smell good. They smell good most of the time. Most of the time.
They got
No,
good.
there's no new tricks. We're still doing the pull up while someone is walking, slow down on the sidewalk, pull my car over and talk to you. We're still doing, well, you ain't fine anyway if you ain't got the time. We're still doing all that.
So the last dude you met, the last dude you was in a relationship, you said that you was gonna last, but it ended. Mm-hmm. How did you meet that brother? Like, what was it about him? Oh shit! Your brain, you hit a couple nights. Look. So you just said before we started, I'm working on my facial expression. And
can't say I don't know myself. Here's what I'm gonna say. I didn't yet have a strong relationship with discernment. That was a life lesson delivered to me by a higher power, I believe, truly,
okay.
Because there was a lot in there I needed to learn. But what it was about him is so much of our lives were similar. I assumed his excitement in the similarities that were very intentionally pointed out, were real lasting connection points of understanding. I didn't quite understand how separated people can be from who they are versus who they want to be, and what that turmoil looks like and what that can create in relationships. And I'm not saying which side was leaning more towards the other. There's a little bit of both on both sides, if I'm being completely honest. But it was the idea that similarities create cohesion. But they were on the surface. They were resume similarities.
Like y'all both went to...
We both ran track. We both played trap set. We both da-da-da. We both did this. We both saw this way. And that don't mean nothing if you're not in college. I'm gonna say that. It works in certain phases of your life.
Don't mean nothing.
If you're not in college, it's cool because you have shared space. But no. I don't know. I need somebody that, I think this is my problem. I need someone that, as their baseline and foundation, has a lot of F's to give about humanity and can hold a conversation. That's all I'm gonna ask for. But what I ask for first is a big one. I know, especially looking at my brothers. We working on that one. And I'm just willing to be alone.
A lot of F's to give about humanity.
Humanity is my baseline. It was my baseline when we met. If we look at the world today, y'all tripping if you don't think I just tripled down on my baseline.
But I like so. I was telling you about the ayahuasca ceremony that we just went to. One of the things that the shaman said was, we should use connection as a form of resistance. And when we're trying to resist, and when we were trying to identify ways and intentions to focus on in the ceremony, and one of the things he was talking about was resisting. And how do you resist? And the energy you consume in resisting from an energy standpoint and a manifestation standpoint will show you what is coming on the other end. Because you can produce more of the same when your intentions and your energy and how you resist is in a particular way. One of the things I love about your resisting or fighting is how you're doing it. It's in a very loving way. You're calling out things, but you're also inviting people to the answer. And it's inside of them at the same time. It's adjusting a pattern. It's looking at something a little different. It's extending more grace. It's being more patient, giving yourself a little bit more time, giving other people a little bit more time. Not, fuck you, you punk motherfucker. You're Republican and this and that. Like there are enough voices out right now encouraging that kind of resistance, which in my opinion perpetuates more of it because of how you're resisting. And I think you're inviting people to connect, which reminded me of that connection being a form of resistance. And it's something that's just been in my head, like non-fucking stop, because you're using your platform for what you're using it for, but you're also inviting others that they can do the fucking same. And you don't have to talk about people to do it. You don't have to condemn motherfuckers. You can do it in a loving way.
What you focus on grows. It's really true. What you focus on grows.
Yeah.
I think the community I live in is also an example. Like I was saying before, like if I'm having a bad day and I go out in my neighborhood, the way I'm received makes that bad day lighter. And I know it does the same thing for everybody else. I know I give that to people in my community. So in our community, when something bad happens, we either know who, when, and where, we know how, or someone was out there and prevented it from happening. That's all because of connection.
Do you think is it more important for you to be seen or to see?
To see. I'm not concerned with being seen.
Really?
No, I'm not. And I've had to get comfortable with being seen. I mean, with my nonprofit, the fact that it's still just me, but there are like media things that need to be done. Like I have to be seen. It's just something I have to do. So I'm getting comfortable with it. I have a good time, but it doesn't like fuel me, to be honest. Like when I put on, like I just hooked up this brand with this other brand and they're about to do something really cool together, that makes me feel amazing. I don't need to be seen for that. Those two people know me. That's okay. Like my impact is much more important to me than anything else.
So I agree. And from that perspective of saying 100%, I was thinking more in terms of how people like us oftentimes show up in our circles.
Oh.
Because we have the strong friend type of mentality, and we play a role in our community sometimes that positions us to be more of the seer and less of the seen.
Yeah.
And so there's stuff that we want to raise our hand about or would appreciate someone just getting, and but because we play that role, it's something that we have to kind of put ourselves out there for to be seen. And at least for me, I feel a certain way when I got to put myself out there, because it's like, damn, if I would expect you to at least see it. I got to tell you, and like you didn't have to tell me, and it's a story that's in my head, right?
No, but they're real, and to that, yes, absolutely. I think another turning point for me within the last few years, I think with everything being so heavy and being the strong friend and being the friend you bring to the party you don't know anybody at because she's gonna make 10 other friends for us. That's me. But when I had nothing to give, I had to get really honest with my people. I had to let them see underneath. And that was a lot scarier on the front end than it was the back end. Because in my experience, I was received the same way that I receive others. But I had also taken a lot of time and intention to make sure that I curated friends that I can trust with my being. Because then they help you out of that, or help me out of that. Yeah, but why didn't you receive? Like, so I just told you this thing that matters so much to me. And you're like, okay, girl, what's next? Why did you do that? And they'll be like, okay, girl, what's next? And it's like, oh, you're telling me that my talking about this is also me avoiding going to do what I need to do to get through this.
Okay.
Like, okay, cool. But that can only happen in an intimate relationship. I have 5, I call them my board of directors. They're my friends, but I have that level of intimacy with each of them. We've worked at it. So they can just be like, tell me the first time, I'm gonna meet you with what I see, think, and how I see you in it. 2 second and beyond, I'm just gonna stare at you. In their own different ways, but they're like, Like, you gonna pick it up or you gonna keep talking about it? It's all right, I'm gonna go pick it up now. But to be received that first time, to be seen that first time creates that intimate space of like, yeah, I heard you.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, you have to, I think that's a struggle in relationships too. We don't always want to be seen because we're afraid. We're afraid to see ourselves too.
And if you're with the right person, I think they're by default seeing you. You just don't want the feedback.
Yeah. I think you just summed up my last relationship.
Wait, for his side or yours? Of course, it's always the brother. It's all, of course.
But I mean, it's the representation of, some people don't even know that being seen is a concept. Like, I have grace for that too.
Yeah.
I really do.
How many people on your board of directors are dudes?
1.
You've got 1. That's good.
Actually, 1, and I have a solid 2 that I'm gonna have to make my board bigger. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So that's exciting to me too. And those 2 are men.
And these are legit platonic. These ain't like some old flames.
One is a straight guy. It's 100% platonic. Shout out to his wife. We real cool. The other two are gay men, and they're together, so
Okay.
we good.
How do you see value in having opposite sex platonic relationships? I'm asking first before I even get into it.
I know. See how I centered myself? Yes, I do. And I see the dwindling possibility of it being reality. Not in my life, but I've seen what we've been willing to navigate and walk through, all three of us, me, him, and his wife. And I know most people won't do that. Most people are in friendships for benefit. And that's not even just male, female. A lot of people are friends with people for what they can give them or whatever else. So I benefit from it greatly because there are sometimes, and being the mom of a boy, there are some times where I gotta be like, hey, I have no idea what this lived experience is like. You gotta tell me. And sometimes it's the balance of, it's just the balance of like presented communication. I need a man's perspective sometimes because, I don't know, diversity? I was gonna say a lot of things, but I don't wanna say things that like cage in emotions. Like,
But I
words.
guess you're saying, but the beauty about, so I love having relationships. I'm sorry. I love having conversations that I'm having for the first time and that the other person is having for the first time out loud.
Same.
And I get really excited about working through, and I know that the world is so unkind and impatient with new ideas. They've got to be curated. They've got to be in a 30-second or TikTok video. And it's the part of the conversations that I find the most interesting because it's like a new child can be born in this moment.
Truly.
And we can nurture it and we can, we'll let it grow and then turn into whatever else it needs to turn into. Who knows? But it had to start as a seed, so to speak.
It's the vulnerability. It had to start with someone being quiet and vulnerable enough to be like, hey, you ever thought this? And it's like, yeah, but I thought of it this way.
Yeah.
That's it. It can be that simple.
Because I've had conversations, I've had women come on before and we talked about the idea of men needing women and women needing men. And the level of pushback that I get at even the concept of us needing one another. And I know that that's not the literal term. And I find myself holding onto the words, even knowing that the people, like energy-wise, are actually referring. But and that's because my ego, and I'm trying to push back on a concept of us ever thinking on any level that we don't need one another.
Do you think we do or we don't?
100%.
Need.
Yeah. Like men, because when you say men need women, women need men, people are hearing you say that something that you're not saying, which is you can survive. Yeah, you can survive.
You can even thrive.
You can even thrive in a myriad of ways. Mm-hmm. But fundamentally, it's like saying, do human beings need touch? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need touch.
And it's all of that that we need to have relationship with ourselves and those things in order to be willing to say, yeah, I need, period, whatever it is. I had a friend, I call him my nephew friend because he's much younger than me, so we have like that relationship. He's like, yeah, but you don't you don't like or need companionship. And I said, I am a companionship girl. And he's like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, why? He's like, because I'm never what? In the streets chasing dudes. And I'm like, and that means what? You know, but he had decided since I wasn't out dating that I wasn't interested in having a partner, when it was the exact opposite. With that, just meant we got to have a conversation and where I was like, okay, well, what do you want and need? And he was able to be like, I'm in a relationship just to be in a relationship and get what I want and say that I have somewhere to go and get what I want. And I was like, I could say you're not a companionship person.
Because that sounds like a transaction.
But surface level, he was just like, oh, no. So, yeah, but it's being able to meet myself in these spaces of like, okay, well, what do you need? One of my biggest love language is physical touch. What do I do when I'm not in a relationship? You can say I waste money. You can say I waste $150 every month at the nail salon. I get a hand massage and a foot massage, and people are just caring for me, and I'm getting touched. I go to the same corner store every Thursday because I know who's working there, and she will give me a hug. Her husband will come out and give me a hug. Their kids will come out and give me a hug. I have been touched. I can love myself in every love language with intention. So I know and realize when someone comes in my space and it doesn't match, it won't work. It's like, and don't come for me. I know adjustments. I've been married twice. I understand adjustments and all that. But like, you know, I've been married twice and I still talk to both of my ex-husbands, so don't come for me. But you know what I mean? Like, it was in learning to give that to myself without sourcing it somewhere else that I can respect the fact that I do need it, but I hold it so highly that I'm not giving access to just anybody.
Now, let me ask you a question to see if people are really going to come for you.
I mean, they already are.
Why can't we just say as a people that some things people shouldn't have access to?
Right.
And the casual nature in which we give access to our bodies is not the best move for us individually, for us collectively as a society, for us as far in terms of kids and all. Like, we've got to tiptoe around that for autonomy and freedom and feminism. I don't know. It just everybody's answer is doing what the fuck they want to do, but it just seems by default what we want to end up doing in most cases is just having a lot of superficial interactions with people.
I agree. We're getting further and further away from the things we're not saying we want. Like, we collectively, I think humans naturally want to be considered. And if we are not considering each other at the highest level of society and the lowest level of society, I'm just not sure how any one person thinks they're gonna make it. And by make it, to what end?
Yeah.
What's there once you make it?
Yeah.
Are you good with that?
Yeah. What did it cost you to make it?
Because I've seen so many people succeed in ways that they're so far from their base that it's like, I know that mountain you're looking at and trying to get back seems so big, and you're just gonna keep making it bigger?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I can't. In the Black community, I see that, and to me it's so loud when it's placed on a lot of this individualism meant to, well, I'm better than, so why would I, do this, or y'all are always this and y'all are always that, and just the constant need to instantly grab and tear down. And I have never subscribed to that. I can't subscribe to it, especially now, because all I see we're creating the exact system that is breaking us apart. But like nobody else is bringing new stuff. We are. Like, why did Cam Newton, why is he sitting down with anybody?
Oh, thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
and there's no discredit to him as a person, because like I wanted to root for you like back in the day and everything. Like I love what you do, but like as a community, once somebody shows us who they are, I am not sure why we will go to the ends of the earth to justify people we don't even actually personally know, when the thing that we're justifying is hurting almost everybody we know.
Yeah.
And we just keep doing it in new ways.
Yeah.
In new ways. It's like, can we ask how to love each other first and then have some of these hard, because the conversations aren't the issue. It's how we show up in them. And that's a lot of my separation, and that's a lot of my like, I'm not doing this game that y'all are doing. That's a lot of my, I don't want to date. That's a lot of me at this phase in my life, because y'all not tired?
So what are you saying? So you're saying a lot of shit, so let me take a step back. I got to figure out.
You good?
Yeah.
I told you I deviate.
To me, they're branches of a tree.
Like it's all together, right?
And and sometimes you can carry the branch out to a point to where like you can get a fruit to grow on that joint.
Yeah. I like that.
And it requires a little bit more, more focus on that branch so that
okay, I know
fruit.
it's there. Hold on. Like.
Yeah, because sometimes you want the fruit. Sometimes you want to create the branch, but you when you can get to the fruit, like that's the gem in my mind, like how my brain is processing it.
Yep.
We really know how to monetize destructive things.
Yeah.
Even ideas.
Yeah.
Even trauma.
Especially
I feel,
trauma.
especially. And that's what I feel is happening on some of these podcasts.
Oh, wow.
Is that where we can monetize and package up anything, and we're doing, and like, so when you look at Joe Rogan, or you look at Lex Friedman, or you look at, Theo Vaughn and some of the other people, they've got such a broad cast of guests that come on, physicists, scientists, psychologists, and most of what I feel they're talking about on those shows are ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our shit, we're talking about people in many instances. Or we're talking about characteristics within our culture
Like
that
lived experience almost, right?
and not food for us to eat off of, but more so like trauma bonding in a way.
I mean, trauma is a low-hanging fruit.
It is low-hanging fruit.
Right?
It is 100%.
The second you said it that way, I was like, oh, because everybody gets it.
Everybody can get it. It's why when you put, there's no reason why the two biggest things that have gone viral is me talking about relationships and biracial. The two.
Listen, the biggest traction I ever get is if I say something and it's like, well, she's not. I'm like, oh, hi, welcome. I'm glad everybody's here. I'm not sure how you found me.
I didn't think y'all were here, but y'all been secretly on the low looking at what I've been post.
So you're right, because I know where I could go. I know where I could go if I wanted to grow a social following for real. I know exactly. By this time next week, I could have a much different footing in the social media streets if I wanted to. That's not a place for conversation, though.
It's not. And to be fair, let's be fair to who we are.
Yeah.
It's not an option.
Yeah, it's not. I can't
It's where we are. And it is the path of most resistance. Not to ourselves, but to the process of increasing our reach, because we're going up against something that is counter, but that's okay too. Like none of it has to be reacted to because our existence, our daily measure of saying this is who we want to be, this is who we're proclaiming, that it doesn't have to be any more than that. It could just,
It's your art.
it's your, whatever it means, right? You're a single mom.
I'm a co-parent.
Is that a better word?
I'm using it more.
Okay.
I've noticed a lot of dads who are single dads have a really positive reaction when I say co-parent versus single mom. I'm trying to bring some evolution there because I was a single mom for my son's first 6 years of life. Then I was married again. And now I co-parent with that person. So I'm not doing it alone.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Thank you for correcting that.
Yeah.
And salute to the brother who you're or the people you're
Yep.
co-parenting with.
Yep.
I've been hearing a lot of stuff online with men talking about how dating women with children are red flags and men shouldn't date women with kids. It's, well, number one, I disagree. Let me get that out of the way. Vehemently.
I mean, it's not a character flaw. So
I dated a woman who was pregnant with another dude. That's how I got my godson.
I mean, also though, I get drugged all the time I don't want to date a dude with kids.
You don't. Okay, well let's talk. Okay, thank you.
And I was really, and this is why the people around you matter too. I really started to question my stance on that. And so I dated somebody with kids. I don't date people with kids. I was right.
Okay, so you have a child.
Like, I hear you,
but you wouldn't
and that's
date
what
it.
people always say.
Okay.
As if I'm not an expert in what it takes to date with a child.
So
Don't I get to say that?
what? Yeah. This is a safe space.
Disclaimer, my child is like an adult at this point too. So like most of the people that are in my dating pool that have kids, they're like in grade school.
Wait a minute. So when you're saying kids, you don't mean with children. You're talking about young kids.
Correct.
So they could have a 17-year-old.
I would consider it. I would ask a lot of questions about your relationship with the mom because again, I co-parent and I'm friends with both of the people that my son considers dad, father, whatever. So like I have a certain threshold of healthy when it comes to a relationship with the person who is also responsible for, or persons who are responsible for your child. So there's a certain measure of maturity that has to come in because I don't do dysfunction and mess.
Well, that rule, I'm assuming that rule would apply for anything. But it feels like you're calling it out specifically about the kids.
Yeah, because I've been a parent for 18 years and I just don't think we take parenting that seriously.
But what men, so I want to go back to what you said. You don't want to date a man with kids.
These are the reasons, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But you would under the right circumstances.
Yeah, if they're 17 and older.
So
Last year it was 16.
So I'm trying to reframe. That you don't. So.
But again, that's a. I would consider it. I would consider having the conversation, but to invest in dating someone who has a child under their roof, I've explored it. I am not in a position, and I'm gonna say what a lot of people probably may not want to say when they're saying that. I don't want to be responsible for somebody else's child. I don't want to invest in the way and the level that I invest in a child's life with another child. I really do feel like I want to live my life now, and I don't want to be held back or down by a child again. Now, I think if a man says, I don't want to date a woman because I don't feel like being responsible for a child, say that. Don't put down that woman. Just say you don't want to be a dad to a kid or somebody else's kid. Okay, but stand on it. And then don't mess with her. Leave her alone. Stop saying you don't want to date women with kids and keep women with kids. Leave them alone. You know how they got those kids? I say, I don't want to date men with kids, so guess what I don't do?
Okay.
I think we can say those things, just be more honest about the why. Don't just say the blanket. Because isn't that a preference in some capacity?
100%.
I also don't have to take your shame for like telling me I'm damaged goods because I'm 40, I have a child, I'm financially self-sustainable, and I'm building a business. All of those things take me out of the desirable dating pool. I say, okay, don't feel bad about that and don't try to put yourself in a box to be desirable to those men. Just say, all right, then guess what? You don't deserve me. We can say that too.
But see, I don't think that.
You don't.
I understood. And the men that I know don't say that.
Exactly.
That's not to say that men don't say that.
They do largely. And it takes a long time to just be like, I think there's a certain science to accepting people for where they are and letting them be there, because we have to let people be accountable for who they present in the world. If you're presenting as that person in the world, I'm gonna let you go sit over there with all those people presenting like that.
So the majority of the women who are having, I want to get back. Mm-hmm. So you're okay with men saying that they don't want to date women with kids.
Well, how does that hurt?
As long as that.
How does that hurt any woman with kids? Do you want to date a man who doesn't want to date a woman with kids?
So as a dude.
But honestly, who does that hurt?
So for me as a dude,
yeah,
hearing men say that they don't want to date women with kids.
Yeah.
Sounds weak as a motherfucker to me.
It does.
I'm just being straight up. I'm not saying I go out proactively looking for women who have kids.
I don't even know how you do that. Do you just go to the playground?
I just thought it, so I'm assuming it's somebody out there that does that kind of goofy
Honestly,
shit.
there is.
But I don't. It sounds, and I don't know if my description is right or accurate. It's just the first thing I feel. It just feels like some super weak shit, especially if you coming across a woman who checks the boxes in a lot of other ways. You're gonna dismiss her and keep that kid from encountering a good dude because you don't think it's something about it that just feels off.
Because it's not natural to us. If we just go back to the village mentality of raising children, if we go back to, honestly, our enslaved ancestors, I'm gonna do it all the time until we start putting more respect on their name. Do you think when someone's husband was stolen, she was left to fend for herself with her kids? Or do you think there was another man there that stepped up and helped her?
So I would hope that there was a dude who stepped up.
We know, time and time. Nobody was left alone and shamed for what? And we can do the same thing here because we're dealing with the same things, whether it's the street and drugs, whether it's prison. There's still women being left alone because their foundation was stolen. Why are we shaming them for that? Are we done?
But that's what, so when people say, that's what I feel. My dad adopted my brother.
Dope.
My brother adopted a son.
Dope.
The idea that these things are separate from a man's duty to, I don't know, and I think
love, a man's duty to love. I'm gonna say that. Protection is love. Every other word that you want to put with it is love. just as magic as I think a Black woman's love is, I've seen and experienced and firmly believe the same thing comes from a Black man. Whether you avoid that your whole life or use it in relationship with it is an individual choice.
What is it in the relationship with a Black man that who has a kid that would make you say, I don't want this right now? What is it? It's not the man's love, right? It's not the love of the child.
I love kids.
What is it that scenario brings up that makes you want to push back on?
I think my lived experience, a lot of times without choice, obviously some of them are because of my choices, but where I am right now without choice, I'm at the intersection of a lot. And because I'm at the intersection of a lot, I'm forced to look at a lot of different viewpoints.
Okay.
And it is out of respect for myself that I say that. And it is because I so firmly am rooted in the autonomy and psychological safety of our youth. It is because of that, because of parenting amongst society as it is, my friends, my family, the two people who have helped me raise him. I say help so loosely. Another point to me, like I know how I approach children, and I do not have that to give without sacrificing more of myself, and I have no more of myself to sacrifice. It's also why I don't date. I sacrificed everything I could, and I met that point of, to what point? And I said, I'm not here for sacrifice. I'm here for my purpose. Let me focus on that. And very clearly, I feel like Source is like, nah, I gave you your job. Don't go picking up somebody else's. There are other ways to help children. Go do that.
Okay.
Because there's no...
So you feel it comes with a level of investment that and sacrifice that you're not at a point in your life where you feel...
I'm looking at the investment.
Oh, got you. Okay.
I'm looking at the investment.
Okay.
I like ROI in terms of circling back to the whole don't date women with kids. There is such a large disrespect there that it goes to the level of disregarding. Why? Why, as a woman, a Black woman, and a Black woman who's not married, why would I, being the lowest of the low, sign up for more? Why would I do that? No one is respecting me down here, so why would I go inject myself into another place where respect is still being learned? Why would I do that? Unsubscribe.
I could give you a razor, but it would only be just to be counter to it. But because I'm hearing men say the same thing, but I also have a reason for their answer. I also have an answer for them. And the answer is the same, quite honestly, but I think I am so, there's some men who are real critical on women. Mm-hmm. And then there's some men who are real critical on dudes. I'm very critical on the dudes.
And I'm very critical of women. That's my line of sight. That's where my criticism can live, and vice versa, right? Like I can offer a different perspective on a man's experience, but to criticize doesn't make sense because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I hate when we criticize things we don't know what we're talking about.
Because even though I'm hearing you say, I don't know what they do with kids, in my mind, I can understand that. And I feel like I want to let you live because of it. But if you were a dude sitting here saying that, I'd be like, I get it, but Here are these other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
But I've also done the parenting thing. So I feel like if you're saying that, I don't know. I think it's just, why do we have to? Why if, because it does come different at me, and I think that gives me an opportunity to dissect it a little bit more. Like, people will say that about guys because we're used to that. We can criticize that all day. But even my girlfriend's like, but you're a mom and you love being a mom. Or I'll be playing with their kids and like, yeah, she doesn't want to be a mom. Can you believe that? And like, why is it so hard to believe though that my life is no longer centered around children?
See, and that's not, I can understand that.
But that's really what it is, right? On both sides, aren't we saying, I don't want to center my life around a child?
No, I think dudes, for the men when they're saying it, I think they're saying, so number one, there's this thing, you just use the term ROI, and that can make my brain go a lot of different ways.
That's my favorite thing to use.
So when I hear dudes talk about ROI for women, again, it's one of those things. It's a trigger word. So when I hear a man say they want a woman to be fit, friendly, and submissive, whatever, like these terms, right? My brain goes, oh, this is a nigga who's been listening to a certain type of information, right? That's where my brain goes.
Therapy speak.
Or when they say provision and protection, my brain goes, because I'm like, okay. So when I hear someone say ROI, this is what I hear the language that men use when they're talking about, what's the ROI for me getting married? What's the ROI for me dating a woman with kids? I mean, I have everything that I want, or why do I want to start over with this woman? There's too much risk. Men like, what is another one I hear? Men are more afraid of getting divorced than they are looking forward to getting married or something. Like, there's all these fancy shit.
Kind of true.
Huh?
That's actually kind of true.
About the fear of divorce? Yeah.
Also, a funny thing that I just thought of when you're talking about dating women with kids, I was on a hike and my girlfriend said that she had a friend that used to only date people with kids because they have the good snacks. Listen, the way I had to open my bag and show her the number of snacks I had in my little pack, though, I was like, I think you just explained the people that have been dating me.
Fucking snacks.
And they always go to my snack cupboard. So that's a return on your investment for, all the people out there. They got snacks.
We reduced it to a transaction.
Exactly.
And that's the part that, and I think I push back on men's perception of that transaction more than I do women's. Because for women, as an example, I don't think there's much I can tell a woman. I think the majority of the work that you do with a woman is through your work, your deeds, your actions. Because they've heard so much shit so long that you have to be the thing. You got to do. Yep. And it's the same for dudes, but I think in terms of like that example, but at the same time, the words,
tone and all of that really matters to men.
That on top of the effort. And I think that might be why I do a little bit more conversation with men in terms of pushing back than I do women, because it just doesn't, I feel like
women are, I've had to walk away from a lot of friend groups in the last 4 years. Only for no personal reasons, no, climactic things, just an understanding of how we're looking at life and relationships with others, particularly the other sex. Because there's a narrative that's held really close to a lot of women's chests right now, and it's I'm sure it's always been this way, it just feels heightened to me. It's like, what are you providing for me? I've seen it in my son's relationship. So at an age where like, y'all shouldn't even be talking about money, because that's real weird to provide. Are y'all not in somebody else's house? Like,
somebody providing for y'all.
Exactly. But it's the narrative of, and I hear it all the time, we on both sides of the fence, right? Like, it's like when you said transaction, like that's where we are. That's also why I don't adhere to a lot of them. It's like, I'm not interested in a transaction. And like, If that's the relationship that y'all want, go to work. Go to your job. The longer we hold on to that in relationships, like I'm not, it's even hard to support people in relationships because y'all just not going deep enough. Not all of them, but like I notice the people around me now are very secure. They're doing the work. They love each other. Like I love being the third and fifth wheel with some of my friends because I just like to be around love.
Yeah.
No funny stuff, right? Like, and I think that shifts your perspective too on things where I don't know what half the people are saying about these little pretend relationships because I'm not in those spaces. And the second I hear it or see it, I'm removing it from my space because while I could go sit in those spaces, it's never produced evolution of thought in my experience. I'm not the person. It's gonna have to be somebody else.
When do you think you're gonna be ready to date again?
I don't know. I actually don't know if that's in my cards anymore. And I'm finding the space to be okay with that. I've had love. I've experienced love. I'm grateful for it. I have love in my life. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure it happens.
Something about that don't make sense to me.
Yes and no, right? I go back and forth because I'm like, but how could I, have this capacity and understanding and then not also, but isn't that kind of also how it works? Like I look at some of my heroes, like Maya Angelou and Tony and Assata Shakur. Well, she might actually be laid up with a boo and we wouldn't know, and that'd be cool. But I don't know. They had such full and fulfilling lives that I myself have started to broaden the concept of love and even intimacy. And my friends could attest to that too, because they were real annoyed, like, why is this girl trying to get so lovey-dovey with us in conversation? I was trying to get more intimate with my friends to source that in my life. And now we just have such comfortable ways of being with each other that's dope too. And so I don't know. I think my whole entire concept of love has changed so much that's not even a question I play with. Because I'm in a relationship with life. If life's got that for me, cool.
But I think that's different than what you. So it's the. I think it's not the decision.
Yeah.
It's the and maybe it's because like you're talking about it for the first time or not, but I love how your energy feels and how your expectations are managed and about how open you are, or at least how open you feel. But when you start to talk about it is when like some of the words don't match the feeling.
I haven't found all the words yet. It's new.
Okay. Cause I feel like, so let me paint two different scenarios. Scenario number one is where you are now. Mm-hmm. You meet a dude, you feel like something is there, mm-hmm. Sparks are flying. Mm-hmm. He's got a 17-and-a-half-year-old. I'm just throwing a number out there. he ain't got no.
He's almost out the door.
He almost out the door. Like no, it's a like he's checking all the boxes, good vibe, everything, and because you're not ready in a relationship, you're going to say, nah, that's not where I don't want to try.
Well, I think it's necessary to bring into context what ready even is for me. When I say I'm like in a relationship with life, I really mean that in the sense of, so last week I had to do like 3 really scary things, different types of things. And I knew I had to do them. I like this analogy of salmon swim up the clearest part of the stream. it's the hardest. It's like the water is flowing the hardest because it's all getting clean from the rocks, but they know exactly where to go. It's just gonna be the hardest way to get there.
Okay.
That's how I kind of look at me and life curating together.
Okay.
I'm very clear usually where my next step needs to go. It's just not always that cute, or I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going in blind, but I'm always stepping. I say yes to things and figure it out as I go because I have had the lived experience that life will meet me at every situation. So if that cute little rom-com from the 90s happened, I'm ready. What do you mean? I'm always ready. It's not in front of me right now. I don't know what it looks like, and I don't know if it's possible. So I'm not wasting my time and energy thinking about it.
Gotcha. Because that's where a lot of energy would have been consumed in the past, is in thinking about it. You would have still been
And I got
ready.
things that weren't for me.
Okay. and the thoughts probably generated certain behavior patterns or manifested things when if you could have just been okay in the silence or in the absence of whatever, something different. Okay, thank you.
And it comes back to like, I know how I talk to myself, and it's not mean at all.
Okay.
Find me a man, not really, this is not a challenge, this is me just talking out loud.
Universe, this is a challenge,
Right, like,
even though it ain't a
I'll
challenge.
be talking like, hey, I'm gonna say something real quick, just strike it from the record. Find me a man that just adds to that in a way he just appreciates it. I will be interested. People get very curious about me because I'm a little different, I'm a little off kilter. But I have a really high standard of accountability and vulnerability with myself. I am not watering that down for you to comfortably hold space with me. I have in the past, and I will not any longer. And that's what it comes down to. So it's not an unwillingness, it's not a rejection. I'm out, I'm open to life. I'm not in the streets or anything like that, but the streets ain't got nothing for me. But it's that just, no, I'm gonna be right here in my lane and doing what I do, and sure, maybe it's just not a focus for me. I don't need it. The only thing I need is fleeting. So I'm just gonna go get this money.
You remember what the first word, what the word was for our first conversation?
What was it? No?
Audacity.
Oh. Sometimes I feel like breadcrumbs are left, and that's hilarious to me. It's like, yeah, okay, that still fits. I have been growing my audacity probably since that day. Yep.
You know what the word for this one is?
Nope.
Essence.
Because I'm going to Essence Fest? Oh.
Well, that helped.
I did that for myself.
You did that. You did that for you.
But I do like that word.
Very much so.
I think that's how I communicate with people. I think I communicate with a person's essence before I communicate with what they say out their mouth.
And that's what I'm hearing you say you would like people to connect with from you.
Mm-hmm. My neighborhood nickname is Sunshine because I get caught smiling at flowers.
And you know what you are?
A person who smiles at flowers.
A wild prairie rose. See, I'm dropping them. I'm making it.
I was like, actually, they called me She Who Stands with Fists. I like yours better. I like that much better.
All right. I wanted to end on these three things.
Okay.
If a black woman has ever made you feel seen, if a black woman has ever made you feel protected, if a black woman has ever made you feel beautiful. Are those ways that people make you feel?
I don't think I understood love until I got into deep relationships with black women. I'm certain I didn't understand love until my friends took the time, honestly, just took the time to love me back. I just had to wiggle my nose because my tears were. But no, for real, I think being a black woman right now is the most I don't even know if there are words. The cocoon of black sisterhood right now, even knowing what it was before the current state of what we're in right now, is so strong. Like, it is so healing. I have been on so many walks by myself in the last 2 months, and I've spoken to other women. My boss said the same thing, where you just cross another black woman and y'all both know what the world is saying to you right now, and you don't even have to speak, but the way we look at each other right now, like the love that we see each other with, is something I need people to pay attention to. Because if the world even picked up an ounce of that and gave it to anybody else, we would immediately be in a much different situation. A woman was talking about how black women will go to a stranger that you've never met because you found her on Instagram and she's doing braids for this dot, so you're gonna go sit in her basement for 8 hours, watch her shows, drink her snacks. And she said, we do that with black women and nobody else because there's this unspoken code of I will not harm you amongst us. And I was like, oh, that's what it is. I will not harm you and nothing will make me harm you. That is something that we could all serve to duplicate because it takes nothing. Like nothing.
When I said I'm hard on men, it is because I believe that at the core of every woman's pain is something that a man did or didn't do. And I don't think we get to absolve ourselves from the responsibility associated with trying to repair that, even if it wasn't us that necessarily committed the infraction. It's why I can't say that we shouldn't fuck with women with kids.
Because they're carrying, and sometimes twofold, like, honestly, the hardest part about parenting in this day and age is receiving what my child thinks is acceptable behavior towards me as a black woman. It's like, oof, I'm not letting you take that into the world to another black woman. I'm not letting you take that into the world to another black woman. But I had to heal mine before I could, you know what I mean? Like, I can't, he is a black man, but I can't treat him like a black man while I'm raising him. That don't make no sense. In the sense of like how you present, you know what I mean? Like, I have to teach him new ways of being, new ways of expanding. Because I think we can do that the other way too. I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg, but I also know when I look at a lot of black men in particular, all I see is pain. I'm not gonna judge you for you projecting that pain on me, but I'm not picking it up.
And a source of our healing from that pain is through our women.
You think so?
100%. It's through how do I say it? a lot of what women are asking from men, I feel, is a calling to your higher self.
Received.
And a part of our journey to get there is shedding ego, shedding insecurity, like shedding these parts of ourselves that are not just right but wrong in the identity that we've constructed around it. And I don't think that the man is going to sit through the discomfort associated with that transformation through anything other than a marriage.
That's fair. And that's for both sides, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Because I'm not healing separately. Mm-hmm. It's in conjunction, or at least this is what I'm learning, like in my marriage. Like even earlier when you hear us talking, and I would say she didn't want to get married. My wife did not.
I'm like, I understand.
She was, but I knew
Yeah.
at her core what she was afraid of was
it.
me not stepping up to be what I needed to be, because I wasn't that man at the time. I had the.
I mean, she wasn't that, like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You guys were meeting each other, right?
Exactly. But I did have enough faith in myself, more so than her.
Important. Yeah.
Because like I felt I could show, like one of the things that I said in one of the joints is, a large part of why I married my wife was because of the man that I know that I am. I know that
I like that.
I am going to deliver. I know that I put in the work. I know I have the capacity to do whatever the fuck is required to make this thing work. If I didn't know that about myself, then I probably would have leaned more heavily into her to be something in these spaces when I wasn't going to have the room to be it. And maybe, and she does have them, but at the end of the day, I know I can't fail at this thing. So, and it's not enough to just sit in it and just deal in it. No, we've got to thrive in this relationship.
Like, you want to live?
We're not going to just fucking make it and ease by, or whatever the fucking skate by, or whatever.
I like that, because it's about the choice. I've gotten in trouble in almost every relationship I've been in for being the person that says love is not enough for me. It's just not. So I'm gonna need something outside of that, and it's the choice. Like, can you choose?
It's the choice.
And that's it.
It's the choice.
That's it.
And when you realize that, you, at least for me, you realize that what I have with my wife is a very, very beautiful thing, but it's something that we're creating together. We didn't find it. It didn't fucking land. We didn't just have it. It didn't just land in our fucking lap. Oh, like, oh, it just fucking appears out of nowhere like a rainbow. No, it's just, you gotta make the colors. You gotta mix the ingredients. That's the work. And so much of that work you can develop tools outside of the work. But when you use the tools, whether or not you use them, all of that, that's on the job training.
And that is what I like about relationships.
Yeah.
I like how much further I can go with and inside of myself. Having a mirror, right? By having a mirror that isn't distorted, right? The mirror that's like, I know that's hard, but hold on, just let me, you know what I mean? Like, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff.
Thank you for coming back on, man. Things have changed since your last time you came on. Brother, life ain't here, but life is here.
I mean, And I went from defending people in the comments that were like, don't defend him. And now I'm like, okay, well, y'all just heard it here first. Maybe some of you were right. You didn't package it very cute, but you were right.
I did not.
Not you, the comment.
Oh, which one? Which comments you talking about? Are you talking about for your stuff?
Yeah, about my parents.
Oh, man.
But it's good. It's all, what I like about what you're doing is the allowance of imperfection. I don't think people get to see the power of that very often.
Yeah.
And the growth of it, like the process of it all. We don't show that part. And we're not leaving clues and maps for everybody else to do good things. And that's the sad part, I think.
It is.
Right?
And we do it with our kids. I think like
Exactly.
even with our kids, every now and then I connect with how difficult it is to be young. And I'm imagining a 21-year-old hearing, stand for something or fall for anything, live in your purpose, know what you want to do, be your best self. Like all of these terms that people decades older than them don't really fully understand. Right? Live your truth, or these kids don't know any of that. They're figuring it out.
And what is truth in the age of social media?
What is it?
Like your internal truth? How do you know when there's so many? Because we know how hard it is. Like, oh, I need to put that down because I'm starting to like feel. But we had life without it too. I think it's Forever on Netflix that just came out. I thought they did a really good job of showing just like regular life in a dramatic way. But one of the things that people were walking away from is one of the main characters, he is the son of two affluent, it's a black couple. They're doing the damn thing out in LA, making good money. So he has this expectation, right? That he has to go to Northwestern, I think, and he has to do all of these things, but he has like ADHD or whatever. And he's like, man, school was really hard for me. Also, I don't want y'all's life. And I'm like, we gotta talk about the parents, the black parents that have made it and are doing well. And you immediately expect your children to do that. But where? How?
Yeah.
Like literally A to B, how?
Yeah.
It's not there right now. Or it wasn't ever, I don't know, either way. And you also didn't tell them what it was like to get from A to B. And are you sure? But just them bringing that to the surface, I'm like, good, because that's actually a thing that we are gonna start looking at right now.
But it goes to what you just said earlier in the beginning. Like, yes, your accomplishments are a measure, but are you a good person? Mm-hmm. Like these things that have very little, the road to being a good businessman is much clearer than it is the road to being a good human being.
Wow. Go Google how to start a business and compare it to how to be a good human. The clarity. Wow, I've never thought about that.
It's too much. Yeah. Especially with a dude. Because then you're going to have to hear about how many women to have, how many sexual partners, how much money.
Yeah.
Like, and then when you try to go through these decision trees, you hit roadblocks because like you can't see past certain things. Oh, get money. Okay, I do that. Okay, go with women. And there's a responsibility that comes. You know how much of a blessing it is to be responsible for something?
Honestly.
And that won't necessarily be a part of the equation, like how you handle that, like how connected you are to your emotions, how connected are you to other people's emotions? Are you making the world around you better in some way, shape, or form to whatever degree you can?
Even simpler than that, when you go outside, do you notice when the wind brushes your skin? Because if not, you're not here right now. And if you're not here right now, I'm immediately concerned about whatever you're gonna do next. Because like, where are you? If you're not right here right now with yourself, where are you? There's only one thing that exists. It's like literally you right now. The further we get from that, life gets messy and hard. I constantly do this thing with myself where when I start to spiral and look like, yeah, but what about in this? I'm like, okay, where are you right now? I'm like, okay, I'm right here. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at whatever. And like, are you okay? Well, I mean, like, right now I am, but no, you okay right now? Yeah. All right then, let's go. And that's it. Because the responsibility is a blessing and a privilege. For me to have forward and backward thought right now is also a blessing. But where am I in that? I'm right here. Like, it's simple.
Please go check out Sipping with Hannah.
Sipping Hannah.
Sipping Hannah.
I don't invite everybody.
If you want to be inspired, if you want to connect, if you want the path to a better understanding of yourself, I invite you to go take a look at her shit. I'm just pointing back to her. Thank you for reminding us that we are here. Like, that's a very recurring theme in like your work. And I appreciate the reminder. Please keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Please.
Likewise.
Please.
I'm convinced it's the people that know and learn how to love themselves. We're the ones that change the world.